Hello everyone. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, conversations worth having. I hope you're having a fantastic day. This is a business talk show. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Jump into the comments. Don't be afraid. Say hello, even if you're watching the replay. If this is your first time, we are actually not in our normal spot, which is okay. So you may see, like any live stream, you may see some people come in and out. We'll do our best to avoid that, but we're on the go today. So I'm really excited about today's episode because we're going to be having a guest come on here shortly. But before we do, let me let everyone know who is new around here what the talk show is all about. So we talk about business, tech, and the user experience. Hey, Jess, no worries. I'm so glad you jumped in. And can you see that natural light? I still found natural light. I love it. So for those who are new, this is a business talk show. We talk about business, tech, and the user experience. I encourage you to comment. You can, of course, like this. You can, of course, follow my page if you're enjoying the content. You can, of course, share this broadcast out. But the most important part is that you comment. Even if you're watching the replay, even if you've already listened to somebody ask a question, you can still respond, even if it's the replay. So be sure to do that. It's not just for me, but it's also for you, so that way you get noticed. If you need anything from me, obviously you can let me know in the comments, but I'm going to go ahead and put in my landing page here, which is checkwithed.com. That's something you can use later after the show to find out more about me, how you can work with me, how you can learn from me, other areas. I have some podcasts that you can listen to. I have the blog. And then also I have a community. It's called the Hey Ed Community, where you can get answers to your business questions, to your tech questions, and so much more, so much more. So there's information on that. Membership is at a low price right now. It will go up June 1st. So FYI, and be sure to share that information with friends and family members too, because not everyone's going to see us here on Facebook. And so it's good to let them know about that because they can really, really utilize that. So, like I said, if this is your first time tuning in, jump into those comments because you're going to meet other people that are here regularly, that are going to be new, and all of the above. Jess says, "Where are you coming to us from today?" So, the background is different. Thank you, Jess, for noticing. For those who follow the show closely, you will notice that I'm not in my office. I actually am, and this is going to take part of random news today. There you go, Mickey. Normally for the show, for those who are new, we do a random news segment at the beginning. So part of the random news today will just be what I'm doing, where I'm at. So I actually have been mentoring a few students at a local high school around social media marketing and how they can get their message out there to the world, to you guys, and be able to connect both with their local community and people on campus and things like that. What's been awesome about it is that they've been able to go in and implement the strategies that I have presented to them to grow their presence online, to be able to understand, and this is what you're going to learn here on the show, and when you work with me, is it's about building those relationships. It's about the conversation. And so what's cool, to give you a little background for today, why I'm in this location is because I actually am a panelist judging senior projects. So what's happening is students, both the ones that I've worked with as well as other ones that I have not met yet until today, I'm actually going through and being a judge where they actually come in and they are dressed professionally. It's kind of like an interview for getting hired at a job, right? Although it's even better because they're dressed professionally. They're coming in, they're shaking your hand, they're giving you business cards that they've made. Like all the work that they've done over the years, they're bringing to the table. And it's awesome because it's like Shark Tank, right? They're, instead of asking for funding, they're just providing you with what they've learned, showing you the value that they've gained out of this experience, out of working in their classroom and taking their internship to the next level. So what's really cool is these students are learning some amazing skills and are showing them, demonstrating them. So much is going on. It's unbelievable. I will tell you, before we get into today's content with our guest, what's awesome is the students that presented today blew me away. I mean, there's a paper that I fill out and then I check boxes and stuff. Most of mine, I mean, I checked the boxes, but most of my comments were verbally, and we were able to, hey, Angelica, mentoring high school students is a great way to give back and build their confidence while opening their eyes to great opportunities. Angela, yes, you said it. Sorry, guys, I'm going to stumble with my words today. You said it exactly, and I'm going to put you on screen there. It's so rewarding, you guys. I mean, to sit here and have a high school student, one of them showed up and had talked about their how they like fashion. He started talking about fashion, and then he started showing his artwork. Some of the photos that he's taken are straight out of a magazine, like literally Vogue. You look at it and you're like, whoa. And it was awesome to see because he opened up, like really opened up, and you can see the change in his expression when he really started to talk about it. And then, of course, you got me in the background like, oh, by the way, did you know that there is a fashion program over at the junior college? Have you checked this out? Have you done that? What's your personal growth strategy? Like, it's so much fun. And so it felt like being on Shark Tank and maybe like American Idol and Dancing with the Stars, I don't know, where you're observing and you're really in taking all the information in, and then you're providing them with feedback. And what's really cool is I was able to bring something unique to the table because I'm kind of the outsider, right? I'm the local business owner who is really tech savvy and all about marketing and social media. And so I was able to come in and bring that presence and be able to give that feedback. I had one student who thought she was going to do her internship with podcasting. Hello. And she switched it to sewing and fashion, like actually getting into the fashion. And of course, I'm right there like, listen, if podcasting is your thing, I want you to start it. I want you to do it. Oh, here's the cool thing. So she explained how one of her challenges that she knows personally is for her to just start something. She knows that after this experience, she just has to start and she just needs to get out there. You guys, I was like, this is how goofy excited I get. I was like, let me just tell you, you have learned a skill that takes so many of us years to learn that you just have to start. And for her, she was also thinking about her podcast. She was her worry was she wanted it to be creative, but she also wanted it to be professional to fit the guidelines and stuff for her project. You guys, at the end of it, I told her, I said, you already answered your question. You need to go out and start your podcast. You need to go have those conversations with your friends. Don't worry about the professionalism part. That will come naturally. Then listen to the feedback, filter it, and see what comes up for what you might be able to add to the show, what maybe you want to take away, and just go from there. But you have to start. And the fact that she knows this already as a senior is amazing. Now we talk about this, we've been talking a lot about this, and you hear it from other influencers like Gary Vee and so forth. You hear that we need to document. You should be documenting your processes. You don't necessarily have to have everything on live broadcasting. That would be great for the most part, but you don't have to do that. You just pick up your phone and record your processes that you can then share out later when the timing is right. So here's what I explained to them. I said, listen, see, I'm kind of like 5 steps ahead and now I got to reel it back. I said, listen, for her, when she was explaining the stitching and how she's not into the sewing machine, like that's not her thing. And I was like, listen, you don't have to have that be your thing. Once you open up your fashion design business, you can hire somebody to do that. You need to focus on what you're good at and being able to get those designs out. And then I told her, because she was sharing with us how she upgraded from taping things for a bag or a purse to actually stitching it. And I was like, document that. That's what we want to see, because when you get up there and you have your own business, that's what's going to make you stand out. That's what people want to see. That's what they want to know. They don't want to just see everything's perfect and that it happened overnight. No, we need to be documenting everything and being able to share that out with people both now and later, because that's what counts and that's what's going to share all of that. Hey, Erica, welcome. Just catching up on the comments here. Creativity is such a great outlet for us. Express. Yeah, exactly. So we are going to have a guest here shortly, so I'm just going to kind of wrap up this little part. But yeah, Erica, you're a little late, but it's okay. So to be able to hear and see these creative minds and be able to be a part of the judging here and being able to know like their futures are bright. And we had even one student who started with sharing he's an actor and his passion is music, and he started to go into the whole thing. You guys, he can beatbox like nobody's business. Like literally beatbox, like really, really good. I have all their websites. I can't wait to check them out. I'm just so impressed. And I was actually able to see one of the students who actually I did mentor. So that was like a real like proud moment for me. I was like, oh, this is what's up. I wish I would have recorded it for you guys because that would have been awesome. We are using our inside voice, Erica, because I'm in someone else's office and there's people outside, so they might come in at some point. We'll see. But I'm trying to use my inside voice. I'm trying to use my inside voice while still being excited. What's really cool is the student that I had mentored. She had her portfolio, and this is how professional they were. They dressed professionally, they shook hands, they gave out cards, they had a portfolio, they had a website with everything and more from the portfolio. And what was really cool is obviously hearing the fact that she took my strategies and implemented them and had success. That was cool. But seeing them, she had examples in her portfolio of the exact posts that she created and how the paragraphs were spaced out, how she utilized emojis, how she put things into motion, and how those gave her results. And can you guess what came back as and it worked because of, can you guess what it is? I don't have my little sign with my show up, deliver, and engage because those are my 3 core values. But can you guess what it was? Because we're on social media. I got to scroll through the comments a little. Hey, Paula, welcome. By the way, I'm managing everything on my little 13-inch, where normally I have my 13-inch laptop and a 27-inch monitor to see everything. So I'm kind of, making do with what we got. But it came back to the engagement and building your audience. And that even goes back to my first meeting this morning with a client where we talked about that we saw the results. In less than 3 months, we saw the results with growing their Facebook page. Why? Because we put in a lot of work. No paid ads, just a lot of hard work and thinking outside the box and understanding that we don't just post. We actually need to make it so it's engaging. We need to engage with our followers. We need to reach out to them. We need to include them. That's what I teach you, and that's what gets results. So yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes work, but you know what? Everyone's going to go home happy and everyone's going to be very impressed. And we have results to show that in less than 3 months. It's been amazing. So there's that. Let me scroll through the comments. So I'm excited for today because we are going to have a guest. So I'm going to go ahead and phone our guest and bring them on. If you are a first timer around here, you haven't tuned into the show, we go live Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And most of the time we go till about 5 p.m., so about an hour. And we bring on guests. You don't have to have a certain amount of followers. You don't have to do a certain amount of things. Like, you just need to literally want to be on here and to talk about something you're an expert in, something you want to share. It's not just to come on and sell your service or your product. It's here to provide value. In turn, that value is what gets you to build those relationships which then leads to those sales. So understand that this is a free opportunity for you that you can take part in later, not now. When you go to checkwithed.com, that's the landing page. Over there, you can click on shows and then go to Ed Talk TV. So let's go ahead and bring on our guest, and fingers crossed everything will work on a smaller screen here for us. So I'm going to go ahead and give her a call here, and we're going to switch over to my other screen, which it looks like I have to bring on. Takes a minute. Hello.
Hi.
Give me a second. I'm going to bring us both on here. And
Okay.
boom, there we go. Oh my goodness, look at that lighting. Look at,
Hey, I got the lighting. I
oh,
said if I'm gonna do anything right, it's gonna get this lighting.
I love it. I love it. And you guys, we might have a little bit of a delay just because we're on a different network, and just bear with us. But I can hear you great, which is awesome, and that's the most important part.
I can hear you.
Excellent. And go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience and let us know who you are.
All right, to the Hey Ed community, I am Deana Balumbu Chukwemeka, and I am a work in progress, really a work in process, trying to work on building my speaking business and consulting business. I want to help people through their process. And what I loved about what you were talking about with mentorship, Ed, is that people want to see the process, not just the final result. So I'm pushing myself to continue showing that process in the midst of my journey.
I love that, and I love that you tied that in, because that's the important part. We forget a lot of the times to document that, because we're so in the moment in trying to get the next thing checked off our list, and to make
Right.
sure we're constantly thinking forward. But then it's like, but wait a minute, who's thinking about what we already accomplished, and how can we share that with people so that they know the struggle they're going through, and that creative
Right.
process they're going through is totally legit and valid.
Exactly.
And so tell us a little bit about what you're up to and what you're doing these days.
So these days, kind of two things. So when we chatted, there's two ways I'm kind of going. I'm building my speaking, and I've gone through some speaking coaching with a personal coach and a mastermind. And so I've been building that and trying to really develop more of a helping people through their goal setting and their next step. And so I'm building that with my blog, trying to get more content out there, more video content, because I hate being on video.
Yeah.
But more video content. And then at the same time, trying to also focus in on what little talents I have on the side that can help me build my side business while still working my normal job. So just trying to explore the things that come easy to me, and so I can continue to share with people.
I love that. Okay, so let's take that. Let's pull some pieces there. So
Okay.
you're working a 9 to 5 then still.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and you're trying to do a side hustle. And how are you feeling about balancing the two? Because I know a lot of people are in that same situation, that are either tuning in live or will be on the replay. They're in that same situation. So how do you feel, and how do you balance that?
I think it's been an evolution. I've always had a side something, I'd say for at least 5 years of my 8 years in working for corporate. So I've always had something on the side. And I used to feel bummed about having both a side hustle and a 9 to 5, as if the entrepreneurship life was just a box that you either did it this way or that way.
Yeah.
But just through growth, I've been able to see that there's nothing wrong with me having a job that I go to, that I enjoy, that I learn from, that I'm able to still share with people my skills, while at the same time building on the side. So the balance has been better because I'm able to appreciate both lanes that I'm in right now.
Oh, I love that you just mentioned that. For everyone listening right now, because I got a lot of people that are listening and watching, or just listening. And if you're watching this on the weekend, I want you guys to really understand that was an important piece right there, is knowing that you can do both and not feel guilty about it. Because I will tell you, from my first podcast, which is called Yes to Entrepreneurship, I call it a limited series. I may be bringing it back, but this is kind of the extended version of it. And so what I found with a lot of entrepreneurs is that same thing, where they felt that they could only do one or the other. It was either all entrepreneurship or not. And to know that you can do both. It's tough, but to know that it's okay to do both. And in fact, if you can, you should do both, because it gives you time to really explore what your options are.
Right.
And so how are you managing your time? Are you, is it a typical 9 to 5, and then you go home and you're like, okay, dinner, and then I can go do personal development? Or kind of give us a little breakdown of a kind of a typical schedule.
Yeah, a typical schedule for me, I'm in sales, so it's changed a little bit recently, but I travel a lot.
Okay.
Last year I traveled 21. I took 21 flights last year, in a year. So it's very busy, and the schedule is not set. The best thing for me has been, even when I am traveling, I try to have at least an hour in the morning and an hour before I go to sleep. Because when I'm traveling, you're meeting with clients, you're having dinner, you have to have a social piece of it after work too. But
Sure.
when I'm in the office, really home, I'd say about 5 or 6 p.m., then you know, unwind, do some of those things, but then also try to spend at least a couple hours on my side business. Now, am I always consistent? No.
Right.
But in a week, my commitment to myself is I need to spend at least 2 days out of the week on it, especially if I'm trying to build it into something bigger than it is today.
I love that. So you set a goal for yourself, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to happen every day, but in this
Right.
time frame, it's got to get done.
Yeah.
See, that's what I think is a good thing to note for everyone listening, is that don't be so hard on yourself if you don't get it done today, because
Right.
things come up, things happen. But understanding and knowing that you have the week to get it done kind of gives
Right.
you that breakdown where it's like, okay, it's a little more flexible and I can kind of make sure that I move it here and there. But as we get closer to Friday, listen, or whatever your guys' day really is. But it's one of those things that you kind of think about where it's like, okay, I'm getting close to the end of the week. When am I going to get this done?
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Ed, but I use Google Calendar
Yes.
notifications. I mean, I just alarm notifications just to continuously remind myself of things that I have to do. And I think you're pretty organized too, so I feel like you do that.
Oh yeah, it's between the digital calendar. I have the paper calendar, and I was using it for a while, and then I went back to just digital, and then I kind of have my little notepad. But it's kind of like having a couple different places, so that
Right.
that first one, when we dismiss it, we still then have some backup, and then another backup in some cases.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, what types of things are you doing to help yourself and your business during those times?
The types of things I'm doing, and I'm glad you mentioned Gary Vee, because I've been on a Gary Vee kick. Basically, I'd say all of last year, and I've kind of slowed down on it because, as he says, I mean, motivation is good, but you got to do it. I mean, it's great to read the books. I'm a big book nerd,
Same
but
here.
you got to implement. And so the things I'm doing is being more intentional about, I can have, let's say, okay, I'm going to record with you. That's
Yep.
great. But before recording with you, there's some steps I have to take on my end, preparation, setting things up that I need to do. So I've started breaking down my tasks into smaller tasks. So I'm not waiting to say, oh, I can do that in 2 weeks or I can do that next month. No, I can do that now because it's a small task and I can get it done. So I've really just been trying to break things down. Kind of like on your website, you say, really go back to the basics. I mean,
Yeah.
we think every goal is so big, but once you break it down, it's very accomplishable.
Yeah, yeah. It goes back to that BSQ method. Think big, act small, and move quickly.
Right.
And really understanding that, for instance, I'm actually a little last minute on this, but that's okay. In this example, I'm going to give you guys. But for instance, tomorrow I actually have a photo shoot scheduled in the morning where I'm going to be the model, which is a
Hey.
turn of the tables. And so, I got this list of things that I should be doing, in preparation, which is super cool the way that it's laid out. And then,
Mhm.
kind of like the idea of what clothes to pick out the night before, and then
Yep.
also to make sure that everything's ironed. So I'm like, okay, so tonight when I get home, I'm going to pull out the clothes, and then I got to make sure that I'm ironing. Although, I don't know about you guys, but I do not iron. I cannot iron to save my life. Like literally, I'm going over each line on the shirt, and I'm like, this thing does not work. So I'm a steamer. If anything, I'm a steamer. Although I prefer, if you guys are going to get me any kind of nice clothes, make sure that it's wrinkle free because I don't want to
There
deal
you
with
go.
that. Like that's too much time to be wasting.
Yeah, it is.
And so yeah, so it's just going through and like understanding like, okay, so you have this thing that you want to do, and then just going through and making sure that you check those little things off in order to get prepared for that, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the best way. And what'd you call it? Think big.
Yep.
What was?
It's referred to as the BSQ method, and it's called think big, act small, move quickly.
I like that. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to put that up somewhere. I like that.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I read it somewhere a long time ago, and it just stuck with me. And I was like, this is the way that you can break things down. And
Right.
just like when I tell people, my three core values are show up, deliver, and engage. It's like, okay, and one leads to the other, and you can't get to the end result unless you do it in that process. So it's a really
Right.
cool way to look at things.
Yeah. Awesome.
And so when you are doing your self-development, what challenges do you face besides the time factor?
Focus. Focus, and I mean, because there's so many things that can distract you. We all know social media, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, everything. Checking your emails. There's so many studies that we can read about that say how much time we just spend checking our phones, not even looking through it or replying, but just checking it. And I've done that assessment with myself on, I don't know what app it is anymore, but it counts basically how many times you pick up your phone.
Yep.
So that's the biggest thing is focus and staying focused and not being distracted by a bunch of other things. So I try to keep my phone on airplane mode or do not disturb. I try to have my computer or what I need around me so I can get it done because, I mean, we can all focus for an hour. That's a good chunk of time to get things done. So trying to cut off the distractions so I can get done what I need to without checking Facebook and seeing who said this and all of that.
Yeah, and that's a great way, for a lot of you, you might not know this, but when I was starting my first podcast, the way I was able to really get laser focused was I did a social media challenge, and it was a no social media challenge. And I started it for 5 days, and I said, okay, listen. And it was, I should say, let me back up for a second. It wasn't no social media like at all. That would be really tough. This was no social media before 10 a.m. And so I started it on a Monday, and I was like, okay, I just got to do this and see what happens. Because I find that my mornings are my most productive. And then as I go throughout the day, they're still productive, but it's like, it's more of, oh, squirrel. Oh, okay. So for me, I started with that, and it worked all week. And I got so much accomplished between coming up with the podcast, having the sign up form, to having where people will be guests, and that whole process and all the systems that go into place. And it was so rewarding that I was like, yeah, let's keep this going. And then I put that out to other people. So for those who are struggling a little bit, take a no social media challenge. I say before 10 a.m. Find whatever time works for you. But the point is like, for me, I would wake up, let's say 6 or 7 in the morning, and to not check my phone and to just naturally engage with my content and my ideas and just run with it, and having the reward be checking social media at the end made me focus on it and get so much accomplished, even if it was only for a couple hours. Like, you'd be surprised at how much you can get accomplished in that little bit of time.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the social media break because I've blogged about it a couple of times on mine, but normally every year I'll take at least a month. Maximum I've taken 4 months off of social media. Now it's different when you, like you said, you're balancing your business and your personal.
Yeah.
But it worked for me when it was just personal to just be off.
Yeah.
But now what I also do is I turn off notifications so then it's not popping up and I'm seeing it all day. But I really like what you said too, just keep it simple instead of saying no social media because it seems so daunting to say no social media.
Yes.
Wait an hour after you wake up to just not get on anything. I mean, like you said, you can accomplish a lot more than you think.
It's so true. And when you were, how long has your blog been around?
2015, so
Okay.
3 years now.
Okay, perfect. And so what challenges have you faced with blogging? Because the word, I feel like a lot, see, you guys can hear her, she's laughing. I feel like a lot of us, we hear the word blog, and it's kind of a dirty word. It's kind of like, oh, no, no, nobody wants to be about that.
Yeah.
So what have you seen and kind of experienced over the years with it?
In all transparency, I'm still going through what that even means to me.
Yeah.
The challenges I think I faced is, what should I talk about? I think that's what most people, they're trying to figure out what to talk about. Am I only talking about, yes, I'm good at setting goals and going through it, but do I only want to talk about that? Do I want to be more of a lifestyle blog? Do I want to, I don't know, tell people what I'm eating every day for breakfast? Can I do all of that? Do I have to be focused? There's just so much that we can do with blogging. And I agree, it's kind of has for some people, a connotation that's not good because people get paid to blog, et cetera, et cetera. And I think for me, when I'm using the word blog, it's more like the content I put on my website. And I've been more flexible with myself on what I put out there, because really, if I have something that I think is helpful for everybody, I should share it until it starts to form itself. And then the other thing I struggled with was just building the website. And I had reached out to you, I think that was last year, because I had my site up and then it crashed or something happened and I had to start over. But you suggested some really, I don't remember is it Diva Design?
Possibly. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, but basically it's the template, the template for WordPress that help
Divi.
non-designers.
Yeah.
Diva Builder.
The Divi Builder, yeah.
Yes, Divi Builder. So when you suggested that to me, it seemed very simple, and I remember we had our meeting and I was like, oh, this is simple. I could have figured this out myself. But looking back on it in retrospect, it's like what we're talking about here. Sometimes what seems simple, you just need to focus in on it and get it done. And I've loved my website ever since I've used the Divi Builder. And so between what to post and how it looks, those were really the two things for me when it comes to blogging. You're like, what should I do? How should I do it?
I love that. And you guys, for those who are just listening, I did put later, you can reference the comments, my tools page, because on the website I do have a page dedicated to the tools that I use, both what we just talked about in terms of Divi, but then also like what I'm using for EdTalk TV here and other things. So utilize that space. But it's one of those things when it comes to blogging. And how many of you guys, even if you're watching the replay and even if it's the weekend, let us know in the comments. But how many of you can feel the same way when it comes to blogging? You don't know what you're supposed to say. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that you feel like you could do a lot of things with it, but is this right? Should I focus on something? Mm-hmm. Should I do this or that? And it does depend on how your website's laid out and what you're doing in a sense, but you brought up such an awesome point, and I'll have to go back and listen to the quote, but it was basically saying, if you feel like it's worth sharing and people can learn from it, then share it. And right. That's a key point to take away, even for those who are thinking about Facebook Live or podcasting or whatever, even in your regular posts. That's what I want you to have behind, that's your purpose, is why are you posting this? Is it going to help somebody? Some of you might have seen on my personal profile, I was very, very transparent and very vulnerable on Friday night because there was a lot that went on Friday. And it was one of those days where a lot of emotions came up, and it was the hardest live. I will tell you guys right now, it was the hardest Facebook Live I've ever had to do, because I wasn't sure of what was going to happen, both during and after the broadcast. And I said, you know what? I just need to do it. I just need to hit that go live button. I did hesitate, but I went through and I said, listen, I don't know what's going to happen right now, but I feel there's a message here and I need to share this because it could help somebody who is listening and needed to hear this. And so I'm just going through and sharing this with you. And it was so far well received, and I left it up, and I made it public instead of just with friends. And it's just one of those things that it's like, it is what it is. And those are the moments that people want. And the feedback has been awesome that people have shared with me. So, it's, if you have a message to share it, and just figure out which medium you're going to use, whether it's a blog post, a Facebook Live, a Facebook post, a podcast episode, whatever. Just go with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think I haven't watched it, the replay, but I did see, I think you said everyone goes through it or something like that. So I'm going to watch it. And it seemed like it was well received. And what I liked what you said is you hesitated.
Big time.
Was something you wanted to share. And I think sometimes those are the messages we need to share the most.
Yeah.
We all have a message, but sometimes you get that feeling in your stomach or, that feeling you're like, I need to share this sometimes for yourself.
Yep.
But if it's for yourself, think about it. You can help someone else by talking to yourself and reminding yourself of what you need to hear.
Oh yeah, it's so true. When I shared the message, I will tell you at the beginning it was really hard to talk about, and then afterwards it felt like a relief. Like I was able to just talk it out with all of you guys and just be good, and then getting those messages from people that are like, it helped. I needed to hear this, and it's one of those things that's when you're like, okay, it was all good. It was just in my head, and
right.
And really, you can't have really anybody hate on you for feeling emotions and trying to help people. There might be some out there, but you just write them off, and you just keep moving forward.
Exactly.
And so, what types of things are you doing in terms of your personal development? You said that you were doing a lot of Gary Vee at the beginning. Now it's kind of this shift of implementing, but what types of things are you trying to implement or maybe listen to from somebody else, just to give people kind of an idea of what they might want to look into or do?
Okay. So I will try to keep this concise. So just to start off, so the first time I really invested in myself was in 2015. I went through the coaching program, and this was 4 figures, and I had never, besides school and college, you don't put that much money into your self-development. But that was my first time to do that, and that was the leap of really focusing in on, I have to invest in myself, not just with time, but sometimes you got to invest in yourself with money into what it is that you want to do. And so ever since then, I've been in a lot of masterminds, a lot of different groups, really expanded myself. As we know, we both work with Nicole Walters. So getting into spaces that I would have never discovered if I never took that first leap in the beginning. And so I have some books here because I'm a book nerd, but I knew you were either going to ask me about books or I could just bring it up somehow.
Yes. We all love books.
So the first thing is Nicole Walters being part of her Yacht Club Elite for the 1K One Day program.
Yeah.
I am part of that, and just being part of a community that's everyone's working through their business in their own right is very helpful to see where you can help people, but also where people can help you. So that's one area. And then my mentor, Marshawn Evans Daniels.
Nice.
This is an important one for me because as a person of faith, it's very important to me not just to have the business, but the faith behind it.
Right.
And so with what she's writing in here and what she does in her stuff is really integrate that, where it's really starting from the inside out and then working on your business, but always working on your business. So it still has that feel of Gary Vee. Make sure you're always putting your work out there. Make sure you're always developing yourself, but also giving a lot of strategic things for your business, while at the same time, how do you take care of yourself, right?
Yes.
How do you take care of yourself as you're working through that? Because it's hard, and you know it.
Yep.
Sometimes you just feel like, what are you doing? Why am I here? Is this making sense? Is it worth it? Is it worth the time? Yeah. It keeps me going.
And it's so important to bringing that up. I know Erica, one of our viewers, and she's been a guest as well. She has a book called Reframe It, and she actually did a Facebook Live yesterday. I think it was yesterday, talking about that as well in terms of, I want to say it was, around, personal, not burn out, basically. Don't burn yourself out, because it's so easy for us to do as entrepreneurs. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. So that, and really, so I'm the type that I could, too much information. It's information overload. So lots of books and lots of different things, but really between my Nicole Walters and my Marshawn Evans, I've been really sticking to those 2 avenues to focus, because there's so many strategies and different ways people are doing things, but really to, like I said, focus on the implementation,
Yeah.
and then let the other stuff, like the Gary V and articles that I read, supplement the things that I'm implementing, because I never want to just stop reading or stop listening to other people, but I also want to focus. So
Yep.
I'm not just implementing things everywhere and then it's not working. And I'm like, why is it not working?
Yes, and I love that you bring that up. I think we talked about it either yesterday's show or maybe last week about community and really finding people, whether it's mine, yours, Nicole's, so-and-so's, whoever. It's about finding that community that you click with, and it's the same thing as finding the resources, the tools that you click with. And it
Right.
doesn't have to be all of them, but to really narrow it down. And it's just like when you go to think about starting a social media presence. Yes, you want to be on a lot of them, but can you effectively manage all of them by
Right.
yourself? Chances are no. So you have to start with 1, 2, 3, maybe, but chances are 1, that you really dive in and get to know your audience and really build that relationship with them, and
Yeah.
then slowly work your way out to those other platforms, and
Yep.
have those kind of like the afterthought, because you need to stay focused on one main one to be effective.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the one thing we think with personal development or having other people share their resources is that they can do the work for you. And it's a reminder to myself, but it's also something I always want to showcase is it doesn't matter if you pay $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 for a coach, strategist to help you with something. You still have to do the work. They cannot do that work for you. Your personal development is your personal development.
And I love that. I'm putting that in the comments, you guys. You still have to do the work, because it's true. We can all teach you something. I can teach you how to engage and how to get people to show up and really take your business to the next level. But it means nothing if you're not going to do the work, because I'm going to show it to you and I'm going to help you with that. But if you can't carry that on, you're going to see that drop immediately. And then you're starting back at square one. So it's really keeping that consistent, implementing and being consistent with it.
Yep. And like you said, find the community that works for you, because not everybody's strategy is going to work for you, but it doesn't mean they're wrong.
Right.
It doesn't mean they're bad. Just find your own niche.
Yeah, yeah, and that is what we're mentioning too. Is, obviously there's going to be price involved, and price can be free or it can actually be money. And we talked a lot about that. I think it was yesterday. Some of you guys even said that there are groups that you have left, even if they were free, you left them because of no engagement or very low engagement, and it just didn't work for you. And so don't feel like, even if you pay a ton of money for something, that you have to stick around. If it's not working for you, you need to bounce. Like,
Yeah.
you need to find something else. And the way you do that is by asking,
Yep.
How did you discover some of your learnings, like the books and the groups and stuff that you're a part of?
I just think through sometimes you just got to search, but I think it's a domino effect. Once you're in one group and you connect with so many more people, it just continues to open doors for other groups. But reading, I would say, is the foundation of how I find out a lot about people, different groups, programs, or different strategies, is really through reading. Because, again, I've mentioned I'm a big book nerd, so I have the business books. I have all of it, all the books.
Yeah, which is great. And I'm curious, when you're posting on social media, do you have business accounts already set up?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do, and I'm pretty inconsistent sometimes on it, but working on it every day.
Yeah, and that's the right answer, you guys. That's the right answer, is working on it every day. Like, it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect at everything. It just means you have to keep it in front of your mind and really understand that part. And then really knowing what to do with it. So I'm curious, when you do your social media posting, what do you have do you have anything that you've kind of seen that maybe has worked for you that you're like, oh, I want to try that? I mean, you may not be at that stage yet. I'm just curious if you started to notice certain things working for you better than others.
So I've started, most of my friends know I'm a big book nerd. So I've started actually sharing more of the books that I'm reading, sharing quotes. One thing I've noticed with my Instagram is like, I don't want to share my face, but whenever I share my face, that's where I get the likes. So I'm trying to balance like showing myself versus showing my business because, I mean, I don't know. I guess I've never wanted a feed full of just my face.
I
But
hear you.
look at engagement. That's where the engagement is. So I'm like, what is that balance? But I am taking steps with another lady to do an audit of my brand, what I'm posting and things like that. So I'm taking steps to kind of evaluate my brand, so I can start working through specifics on what changes.
Okay, so many things I love about that right now. So, real quick before I forget it, the audit and evaluate. I love that because my three things are audit, evaluate, and edit, and really going through that. And then the fact that you mentioned about having your face out there in the mix. Mm-hmm. I will tell you, I am the same, and I'm still getting comfortable with it. But before, even with live broadcasting, it was like, nobody wants to see me. Nobody wants to hear me. Like, I don't even want to see or hear me. Like, no, we're good. And then having, like, when I first started my website, I don't want my face all over my website. Like, I don't want it to be the Ed show over here. No, this is about you. And then I soon realized that, no, people want to know us. They want to see us. And now more than ever, that's important. And being able to, I love that you shared that information with us because especially on Instagram, that takes it to the next level. It's more personal. Hence, you guys, why we talk about on Facebook Live is so popular and why it's good for you to break out of your box and to go live. And, you know, I'll ask you, because you said that you wanted to get more in front of the camera. How did you feel about this opportunity, and did you jump on it right away, or did you have some hesitations? Because what you're going through is what everyone in the audience listening right now is thinking about, because this is an opportunity, as you have taken and seen, to get out there and not only practice for yourself, but to grow your personal self, even though that doesn't really make sense, but, you know, personal growth.
I get it.
Yeah, and then business growth. And so, and it's in a fun environment because you're with somebody else versus by yourself. So how did it make you feel when you saw this opportunity?
I mean, I've known of your show since you started, and I've seen it. And there was even times I was like, oh, I should fill out the form because I should do this thing, but I never did. And so, yes, I hesitated even this time on doing it. My coach challenged me once to do more video, and I remember doing like a 5-day challenge with it, and then I stopped. And then I was like, I'm good at writing, but I need to have my voice out there, my face out there. So last year I challenged myself to do a podcast because I was like, oh, I don't want to do the video. Yep. So let me do the podcast. So I did 25 episodes last year. Nice. But this year it's been about, okay, you've done that. You need to keep growing. You need to keep challenging yourself and being uncomfortable. It's different to be on video. I guess it's just another avenue of vulnerability. So it's still, I felt very nervous. But like you said, it's two people, we're together, and you might as well go for it. And what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. And I love that you bring that up. It's funny, fun fact, actually, I am pretty sure it was last year where I did the Yes to Entrepreneurship podcast. And I think mine was about 26 episodes, if I recall. So right there on that same path with you. And it was the same for me, where audio is great and I love audio, but it was getting to that next level. And how can I stand out more? Because I know that live broadcasting is hard for a lot of people, which means that I need to do it so that I get more comfortable with it, and then I can get them, you guys, more comfortable with it and bring you on and just have a conversation. It's just like if we're at Starbucks or something hanging out, you know. And so having that experience is awesome, and to be able to share that with all of you guys listening, and to really think about that and say to yourself, like, hey, if you got something that you want to talk about and you know that you can show up and deliver, like, let's do it and get you on the show, because it's important. All the things that we do, from personal development to working a 9 to 5 to thinking about entrepreneurship to being an entrepreneur full time, all that stuff, we all have experiences that we can relate to. There's challenges that we go through. There's things that you may experience that I haven't, or vice versa. And the more we talk about it, the more real it gets, and the more people come around that and they're like, oh, this is cool. I need to, that,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's I don't know. It's just like, I don't know if we're all just conditioned to doubt ourselves just a little bit. But my motto this year is just do it afraid. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yeah, I probably don't even want to do it maybe for some things, but it's like, just do it afraid. Just do it.
I love it. I'm so excited that you were here and that you were able to come on the show finally. Any, before I let you go, because we're getting close on time, any
Hmm.
last words? I know that you'll be in the comments later, drop in your links
Hmm.
and whatever, but any last things that maybe we didn't get to that you wanted to speak on, or any tips or anything like that you wanted to share?
Uh, I think so. One thing I've also realized, and I'm working on a separate project with, is how to give yourself grace through your journey to whatever success means to you. And so that's why I really like how much you share about what you're doing and what you're going through. And I can't wait to watch the replays, because we're just so hard on ourselves sometimes. We're trying to push ourselves, but then we're like, why didn't you do this? You didn't meet this standard, or we're comparing ourselves. So I think another part of my vision is, as I'm helping people work through their goals and what they want to do, also balancing that with, have grace for yourself and understand that your journey is your journey, and that's what it is, a journey, and it does not happen overnight, and there is no destination. You got to go through it, but you got to be able to also know what internal voices you use as you're building success, because there's no way to enjoy it if you don't have that balance.
That was beautifully said. I'm like over here quietly clapping. That was awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing all of that with us and engaging with us. And I'm so excited. You guys who are watching, stay tuned. I'm going to let you go here, and then I'll jump back over before I let everyone go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ed.
Thank
And
you.
I just want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, because those tips that you share are tips that we forget about. And so it's important to hear them again. And I'm just glad I've seen a little bit of your growth, and I'm excited to see more of it.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you in the comments.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
bye. All right, guys. How cool is that? It's going to take a second for my computer here to kind of kick over and be able to, because I'm working on one screen here. So give me a second and we'll go back here. That's what I love about this. It's so awesome to be able to do this. And I will tell you, it's so important to just take these opportunities. And what's funny is, earlier today, and maybe yesterday too, I had thought about, I know a lot of you will listen to this as if it was a podcast. And I was thinking, well, maybe I need to do that as a podcast and going back and forth. But I still love doing the Facebook Live, because then I can bring you on and we can work on this together in terms of being able to get out there more, be more experienced on the camera. And I already have, my other podcasts. Actually, I transitioned. I had a Check with Ed podcast. I relabeled that as Ed Talk Radio. So I'm going to try to start getting back into that. There's a ton of episodes, so there's plenty for you to catch up on if you ever wanted to. But I'll try to get back into that as well, just as the audio part. But, it's really just having fun, testing things out, trying them out for a while. And as you heard and saw, it's one of those things that what we do does matter. And thankfully, I've been blessed with this time to be able to share all of this with you, and hopefully keep doing that. And you guys have whatever you're working on, you have to take that and run with it and do it like we were saying, afraid, and being able to absorb things and like listen to this show, engage, but also remember that you need to go implement and really make sure that you're doing the work. Because it's great if you're listening and you're here and you're engaging and everything, but if you're not doing the work, well, then there's a problem, and we need to make sure that we get that fixed quickly. So anyway, I am going to let you guys go. I'll leave you here with what I have on the next screen. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, for sharing, for commenting, and I look forward to connecting with you guys tomorrow, and I'll tell you about how the photo shoot went and everything like that. So have a great evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you're at, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.